Hey everyone. Hey.
Welcome to the 2022 Wheeler Centre Teen Gala. First of all, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that tonight's conversation is taking place on unceded sovereign land. We're joining you from the land of the Kulin Nation, and I pay respect to their elders past and present and to the elders of all communities this conversation reaches.
Me and Lee have both been performers at the Teen Gala before, and so yeah, we're back hosting, and it should be a really fun night. So let's get it underway. Our first speaker is a 15-year-old musical theatre performer. She also writes acoustic and folk music. Charlie is in love with 80s music and grew up with artists like Queen, Stevie Wonder, Tears for Fears, and Kate Bush. However, she takes much inspiration from modern artists like Phoebe Bridgers and Joe. Please welcome Charlie McKenzie.
Kenzie, if you were here last year, you might remember me, but I'm a 15-year-old singer-songwriter, like Red said, and this year, I'm going to be performing a song called Male Gaze, and also another one, but the first one I'm going to perform, I just want to put a quick warning, because it has some mentions of some pretty, if you can infer from the title, but this is a song that I wrote about kind of my observations on the world as a young woman, but also experiences, and specifically one experience that I've had. Sorry to bring the mood down, it's a bit emo, but sorry, it had to be done. I don't think wearing t-shirts twice my size is all that weird. I'm not ashamed, just don't wanna be bait, 'cause they'll take it even if it's rotten. I hide it anyway, 'cause what would they say? Would they take it away if they saw beauty? That's all it is at the end of the day, just beauty, distorted to cigarettes through the male gaze. I didn't take my mama seriously when she told me, always leave the house with your key. If anything goes wrong, then you know where to find me. I thought that's so stupid. No human being would ever do something like that. So I left my key at home. Oh God, what have I done? I told my parents, they said you scared us to death. I told my friends, they said you should never joke about something like that. But my underwear was still clean. I did nothing but wear jeans and a flannel right down to my knee. Why didn't anyone stop him? Is anyone even watching? Oh, I was protected, oh, I was covered. Oh, so I thought I'm just see-through like glass stained with blood. I've learned to stick the tape in the right position. After all these years of repeated aggression, it's fine. Oh, I would have taken the fire anyway, even if I could say, hey, that's not fair, look, we don't care. Stop being so dramatic. Don't I have the right to say no? Don't you dare when a man is touching my hair. Oh, I told my teachers, they said boys, oh, boys will be boys. I scolded my parents unfairly, 'cause I was sick and sick of the rules. My hands and my eyes and my thighs and my shoulders, I'm losing my mind. My body is mine. Trying not to cry is all that I can try to earn back the girl who was strong in your eyes. And boys, they never cry, but I'm just as tired, yet I'm still on fire. 'Cause if I went out, I'd be stupid, dramatic, just another Maddie, and dumb and immature, or kind of a bore, or obsessed with a boy, 'cause she must be, 'cause she's a teenage toy. I don't wanna be a cigarette. If you put me down, then I'll burn this house to the ground. I'm not afraid this time around. Just watch me, I'll shout your name loud, loud. So many jackets burned through and bras unhooked too. Oh, just through your eyes, that's why I despise. Keep your male gaze off me, I'm still on fire. Oh, I'm still on fire. Oh, your eyes will get tired, 'cause I'm still on fire. Thank you. Yes. Sorry to bring the mood down, guys, but this next song will hopefully bring it back up again. This was originally a song I wrote as a thank you to everyone I grew up with, especially those in the past few years of being a teenager. But I hope this can be a song that us as a younger generation and young people can take for ourselves. Because I feel like growing up today, we've had a lot pushed on us and a lot taken from us, in a sense. Like the whole world is kind of like, save us. And I'm like, none of us know how to do that. We're kind of a bit incompetent, but it's fine. And I feel like our generation is such a sad generation. No, as in we're literally sad. We're sad people. And I feel like, I hope that this song can show us young people that there is light and beauty closer than you think, and that we can celebrate that, and it can be ours. To all my friends, I'm so proud of you. 1, 2, 3, 4. We found a way to keep on sailing through the rain, catching water on our tongues. We didn't let the waves getting bigger be the trigger, 'cause we all wanted to be there when the day was done. And after all this time, it's done. And I didn't think I would have made it here to write this song and toast this cheers to us. But we struck gold. We found treasure buried long ago, where we were probably not supposed to find it. Oh, bless our mischievous souls. That's the beauty of having bones broken so many times, glued back together in our spare time. You're not afraid to fall once you start climbing. And now the sunset on those days got scars that made us pay. So let's show them an arm and stupid arm. We laugh at the irony of it all, 'cause we made it, but we still kind of hate it. So we'll pit stop at purple today. Whatever comes tomorrow can wait, 'cause we're feeling like some sons of a gun. Whatever they say, today we won. Oh, 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 ooh, 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 oh. We lost 20 to none. So many times trying to abide by the rules of the ticking hands of time. Some of us would say it was fun, but with the pleasure came the pressure of keeping each other's heads above the water. And though we tried, our hands were tied and tired and held behind our backs by those we called the tyrants. And that's just what they were. They waited too long now. Some of us are gone. All we have are faded Polaroids, a song to sing to make some noise. Our darkest days are gone. Got scars to count them off. So let's show them an arm and injured arm. We laugh at each other's faces because we made it, but we still kind of hate it here. And so we'll pit stop at purple today. Whatever comes tomorrow can wait, 'cause we're feeling like some sons of a gun. Whatever they say, today we won. Oh, 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 ooh, 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 oh. And the tyrants, they told us no one at your age has lived long enough to mean what they say. But how come we are the ones unafraid of the music, the monsters, the scars on our face, of possibly saving the whole human race? Now that we've made it, I'll shout out our names. And we toast to the ones that made it here today. And we sing for the ones that were so much braver than we will ever be. But we were too young and we couldn't stop their bleeding. They're bleeding. Oh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Thank you. I forgot to say the name of that one, but that one was We Won. Bye.
For that wonderful performance. And our next speaker is Anna Blinks van Broekhoven. She is a young disability advocate and mobility aid user, particularly focused on the lack of adequate, accessible public transport in Victoria. She has done theatre all her life and otherwise loves painting and spending time with her 3 cats. Please welcome Anna to the stage.
Thanks for waiting.
Are you happy with that?
Stand. Yeah, that works. Nice. Thank you all for coming. Sorry, the wheelchair ramp lift didn't really work. That's all right. We persevere. This world is not meant for me. Or rather, our society is not designed for people like me. I was born with several physical disabilities, including arthrogryposis, lordosis, scoliosis, restrictive lung disease, and many, many more. Though I can stand and talk for a few minutes, in order to go anywhere, I need my scooter. It is my legs. I use it at school and whenever I go out. But simply traversing the city on my own is still nearly impossible because the public transport system in Victoria is incredibly inaccessible and the current solution actively works to keep us out of society. Take, for example, trams. The way of the future, new, exciting, more environmentally friendly than ever before. Yet, amongst all this positivity, a 2020 government audit found that only 15% of all tram services were fully accessible. 15%. For the way of the future, supposed to be for everyone, this is appalling. When I have tried to use buses, my few successes are minuscule to the amount of times the ramp was broken, the hook for the ramp was broken, or the bus simply kept driving as I waited at the stop. What about trains? Well, in order to get the ramp for the train, I needed to get my scooter over the gap. I have to travel to the very end of the long and winding platform, sometimes over 700 meters long, with no light and no shelter. I have to wait however long until the train finally arrives, and when it does, I have to reach very unsafely over the gap, desperately tap on the train driver's door, praying that he notices me, wait for him to reluctantly get up, get out, and then get the ramp. Something that takes everyone else 10 seconds. In a recent Guardian article, Akina Go, disability advocate and wheelchair user, told interviewers that it takes us 3 times longer than everyone else to get anywhere because transport is so inaccessible. It is blatantly obvious that public transport in Victoria is far below the line of adequate. But surely there must be something, right? Well, there is. In all fairness, there has been an attempt by the state government to make up for this deficit. But this so-called solution only works to keep us trapped and is still incredibly impractical. It is the multi-purpose taxi program. It's a card you get, I have one, when you have a suitable disability, and it gives you 50% off taxi fares, up to $60. That doesn't sound so bad. But if we actually look at the day-to-day costs, we find that taking public transport to and from the city is about $12 on public transport. Several taxi cost estimators from taxi companies like 13 Cabs estimate that same trip with the 50% discount as between $74 to $107, almost 8 times more expensive. If we give the assumption of working 3 days a week, for people using public transport, that would cost just under $1,500 per year. Disabled person using a taxi, and that goes up to $1,100. How dare we be expected to pay 8 times more for a basic necessity every single day? And that's not even taking into account things like grocery shopping and socializing. How dare we? Compared to if we could just use public transport like everyone else. In truth, most can't. Less than 50% of people aged 15 to 64 with a disability are employed. This insistence on an unreasonably expensive method of transport means that we are literally unable to afford to go out as much. I could talk further about the significant mental health impacts, how this traps many of us in the cycle of poverty, but for now, the main idea is that this is outrageous and only emphasizes our need for accessible public transport. I could talk about agency, that by making it so that people with disabilities are unable to use public transport, we are unable to enter society. But the even bigger issue is that all this adds up to the macro effect of disabled people being pushed out of sight, out of mind. If people in wheelchairs cannot go out as much, we do not have to see them as much. If people with confronting differences are unable to leave the house, then we become forgotten, unseen, unheard. Why should we make our footpaths, our schools, our building accessible? There's hardly any of them anyway. In the words of Dylan Alcott, 2022 Australian of the Year and Paralympic tennis champion, we deserve the same rights as absolutely everyone else to get out there and live the lives we want to live. If we are trapped at home because we cannot afford a cab company, then the message is clear. You people are less than. You do not fit in with our new and exciting society. Stay hidden behind car doors. We do not want to deal with you and your problems. It is the definition of discrimination. To conclude and paraphrase Shakespeare, do we not have senses, affections, passions? Are we not fed with the same food, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer? If you prick us, do we not bleed? We are human, just the same as you. But the current public transport system in Victoria does not seem to agree. Thank you.
Doesn't seem. Oh, hey. All right. That was amazing. Okay. Our next speaker is a neurodiverse poet/artist whose work explores queerness, mental health, and the teen experience. They live with their 6 pet birds, including a very friendly lorikeet named Alfie. Please welcome Fig Rosen.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really good. Cool. Thank you so much. Hi, sorry, my hands are really sweaty. I couldn't like turn them. Sorry. Hi, I'm Fig. I do live with my very friendly lorikeet named Alfie. That's true. I'm going to be reading a little collection of poems called Words for Eden. So here you go. 23rd of September, first date. We can stick to the edges near the buildings and window shop while the rain fills the city, drowns us and dries our eyes out, eats us alive. 14th of October, napping. I feel your heart beating against my jaw. 23rd of October, sore throat. Sitting at the kitchen counter, the postman at the door, parcel with my name, a letter, the boys on the front lawn, and me, sleeping on the couch, lemon in the fruit bowl, lemon in my mouth. It makes my skin curl to think about a betadine kiss with disregard for the sickness swelling inside of us. 23rd of October, turbulence. On bad days, I sometimes stand on the kitchen table to remind myself that I am in control. I touch the roof with my bare, greased fingers, feel the cool marble under my toes, and open myself up to feeling. 31st of October, the dating scene. In the daytime, we thrift and drift, stomaching the streamy limbo, taking to hurling up our holy grails in the seconds before curfew. There is something to be said for the youth embedded in concrete, supine to the overcast ether, trodden by us in our barefoot dance. 3rd of October, the V-line over. Warped window molds my brain to be star-shaped, and our horizon line stretches so far that I stop being able to see the furthest end. I just pull it up over my head to keep warm. 4th of November, zombie. Clutches the gate, solemn, sleep-eyed. It's almost freeing, you wipe my eyes, because down here the air is so dry, and I get a bit teary carrying my clothes in the bags beneath my poison frog eyes, high and somewhere tucked away, out of sight, out of mind. 4th of November, oceanside. The lights on the pier imitate the beautiful gloom we are both feeling, like static electricity, causing ripples through the air and bumps on the water, tired, long forgotten, from ships big enough to shield the edge of the world. Weeds taking over my discarded jacket, sand between my teeth and in the lines on my palms. Bug bites tracing the bones on my ankles like a gentle caress from a lover. 20th of November, we just walked in the rain for a few hours. Interlaced, brush hands, we drench ourselves knee-deep in the storm drain. The waters of our sleepy joy rushing down the backs of our necks. Moving closer, just out of reach, we wish hard and run fast, but never sleep. 25th of November, safety net. I curl my thoughts around you, soak in your security, spin sunlight between my fingers. In the middle of the oval, I pick eelgrass bouquets, consuming it, always.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Fig. That was wonderful. Our next performer is a 17-year-old Year 11 student with a long-time passion for writing and literature. After winning the 2022 Kill Your Darling School Writing Prize, her love for writing has been reignited, and she hopes to one day share her writing with the world. Please welcome Audrey Mackenzie.
Hello all, I'm Audrey. The piece I'm going to be reading today is the one that I did write for the 2022 Kill Your Darling School Writing Prize. Hope you enjoy. It's called Per Aspera ad Astra. Since humans have had cognitive thought, we have looked to the stars. From ancient Aboriginal rock carvings and sacred sites to Bronze Age artefacts such as the Nebra sky disk, it's clear that humans have been fascinated with the cosmos long before we had any concrete proof of what was beyond our atmosphere. Aboriginal Australian Dreamtime stories often spoke of subjects such as Earth's creation, and evidence suggests they may may have been some of the earliest examples of this cosmic idea, as astronomical sites such as the Wurdi Yoang's site date back further than even Stonehenge. The Indigenous people of Australia have long had a spiritual connection with the sky and cosmos that dictated ceremonies, creation theories, and their movements as nomads. Early man had linked celestial bodies with the natural earth, tides, seasons, and weather, so observing the sky became imperative to developing the modern resource-gathering practices we have today. But space and its movements were not only essential to farming and agriculture, but also to philosophy, religion, and divinity. As ancient cultures' yearning for the beyond was honoured through their gods and monuments, these ancient people were not limited by their lack of understanding of the universe, but rather inspired by quite simply what they could observe with the naked human eye. Naturally, along with the curiosity of what was out there came the question of who. For hundreds of thousands of years, people have looked to the sky and questioned such things. We ask, is anyone out there? We ask, what happens if there isn't? Theories have long been circulating that perhaps aliens had come to Earth in prehistoric times, their contact allowing and assisting us to advance as a society to where we are today. Maybe these ironically named gods we worship are themselves dwellers of the Milky Way, but their image has been warped through the interpretations of early extraterrestrial interaction. Are aliens malicious, or do they want to ally with Earth? Society has thought of endless justifications to avoid the possibility of simply being alone out here, because that thought is too worrying to even comprehend. Now, though, humans have realised we will not last, not only in the inevitable the sun will one day explode and we won't want to be here when it does kind of way, but in the way that we won't allow ourselves to. Of nobody's fault but our own, the planet is teetering on the verge of collapse, and we are too busy in battle with each other to fix it. Though our beloved outer space may one day be our executioner, at the rate humans are going, it won't even get the chance to be. At this realisation, we decided as a species that although we may never meet our planetary neighbours, we must give them an opportunity to know us. And so, our robots were sent out into the unknown. These metal wanderers were given names and goals and told to explore, and they will continue long after we are gone. Curiosity and perseverance and spirit and opportunity will lie in the dirt and wait patiently, perhaps for a day that will never come, one where they are found. They can tell those extraterrestrials their names and how humans must have valued those words. We didn't just send our message close to home, though. The Voyager Golden Record will reach stars more than 17 light years away in about 40,000 years. Yes. This message in a bottle of sorts that has been sent into the vast ocean of space can only be viewed if there is intelligent life out there, and it says something very thoughtful about our nature. Launched in 1977 and attached as 2 copies to probes Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, the phonograph record is a depiction of humanity at the time, complete with instructions on how to play it intended to be interpreted by anyone who may come across it. It contains sounds of the natural world, such as whales and birds, as well as the voices of humans, including a message from the UN Secretary General and his 6-year-old son. There are footsteps, there is laughter, there is a greeting in 55 different languages. It has our music, classical works of Beethoven and Bach, modern rock from Chuck Berry, and cultural music from across the globe. Not to mention the photos, a mixture of scientific diagrams and photographs of people from all over the world. We want to show the universe who we are, how we act and interact, how we communicate, how we live. We want to prove to those around us that we mattered, as insignificant as maybe a clip of a pop song may be. The record contained the brainwaves of the creator's future wife while she was thinking about our most human concepts of love and war and history and society. A basic need of humans is to be known. It's linked with our desire to live forever, to find purpose in what we do, and have any of our trivial activities mean something. In terms of time, we are but a blink in the eye of the universe, apparently unnoticed by anyone other than ourselves, and this is something we often struggle to cope with. So how can our persistence of life be maintained? Well, we do have the power to replicate our genes through reproduction and offspring, but that is not the only way. It is our work that really allows us to become immortal, what we leave the world with as evidence that we once walked it. It is awe-inspiring to see the handprints and cave drawings of the past, and to wonder what kind of lives those people may have lived, and how it is unlikely to be much different from our own. We admire great works, at least in part for their permanence. How is it possible for someone to create something that can last so long? Despite it all, we keep living. It's ironic, we are fully aware that we won't outlive anything in the scheme of things, despite how much we may try. Perhaps that's what it's all about. Despite everything in our universe being transient, we still say hello to those who will come after us. The inscription inlaid on the Voyager Golden Record reads, "To the makers of all music, all worlds, all times," and it contains the Latin phrase per aspera ad astra, meaning through hardships to the stars. We have always and will always dream of things bigger than ourselves, and that will last long after we're gone. That's why we made our robots, and that's why we go to space. Thank you.
All right, let's see if, yeah, there we go. That's the way. Thanks, Audrey, that was amazing. Our next performer is a Year 9 student from Melbourne. She won the Stonington What's Your Story competition in 2019 and 2021, and the Vate A Story in a Minute in 2022. If she's not reading or writing, she'll be at the beach, spending time with animals or roller skating. Please welcome Poppy Holden.
Hi everyone. Tonight I'm going to be reading a short story. This year I've explored narrating from unusual perspectives. For the Vate competition, I wrote a story from a tram stop's point of view, and for this one my narrator is the bad place, a feeling we can all probably relate to at some point in our lives. The bad place. No one wants me. Never. I bring the darkness, fading out their world until it is all midnight. I am necessary though, to see how gorgeous the light can be, but that may be something they will never understand, a concept too confronting. So I follow, I chase, I catch. A girl smiles as her friends laugh, the sunny sky promising a cheerful day. From someone else's perspective, they would simply see teenagers having fun, but I see it for what it is, fake. That girl isn't happy. She loves her friends, but this day isn't hers. He is reading on the train, feeling superior to the device users. The story, however, twists. Endless happy-go-lucky days are unrealistic, and the author knew that, so sadness envelops the book. Eyes cast downwards, the reader hurries, wanting to get to the end, his stop only a few away. A chorus of birds accompany the dancer as they perfect their routine in the park. Foot-pointed spins practiced. The wind should pull them over, but they work with it. Persistence is how you get that sort of tranquility. Not yet am I needed, but soon. The movie continues playing in the background. Popcorn, untouched, sits in front of them. This is a rare case, a coincidence. Their thoughts spiral, not focused on the show. Frowns crowd the room. They'll be okay in the morning, though. Trust me. She sits in a small, quiet cafe. A steaming mug warms her hands as she surveys her surroundings. I used to come to her all the time, one of my regulars. But then she went to a doctor. I won't be able to visit as often anymore. I lost one. No matter, there are plenty more. They laugh cruelly as they run away from him. He pulls himself to the wall and wipes his gravel-imprinted hands against his legs. Tears tumble silently onto his bruised knees. The people who did this shifted me onto him. I suppose everyone has a different way of dealing. A calming bundle of soft fur sits in her lap. On the porch, a spare chair is next to hers. We met when she sat in that hall, dressed in black with a broken face. I will never fully go, but I think she's come to accept me, understands that I'm going to stay. The school corridors are filled with chaos as students hasten to pack their bag, ready for the summer holiday. One boy, however, slows. He lets others go to their locker first. He talks to people about their plans. He stalls. He doesn't want to go home, because at home, I am waiting. After I catch, I do eventually release. It may seem like a lifetime before I go, but I promise you will see daybreak. Just remember that for everyone I am different, but for everyone I am there. One day.
Thank you, Poppy, that was wonderful. Our next speaker is a Year 11 student, public speaker, debater, and avid reader. The founder of In My Opinion, she aims to teach the youth of today effective communication skills to help drive meaningful change by creating and sharing public speaking and debating resources on her page and hosting courses. As a youth advisory board member at Childwise, she's incredibly passionate about the rights and safety of Indigenous youth and the climate crisis as a child's right activist. Please welcome Ashia Rana.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Ashia Rana. Please keep in mind that this speech was performed at the Plain English Speaking Awards, which means I cut it down from a whopping 8 minutes to a meagre 5 minutes 30. And if you've ever written anything you love, you know that I achieved the impossible there. So please, maybe that'll explain some of the dramatic silence in my speech. But let's get started. Now, in order to understand the crimes that were perpetrated against Australia on the 26th of January, I'm going to recite to you a little story I once heard in a YouTube video. Imagine this. You live in a share house, and your housemates want to hold a house party on Saturday night. And you say, "Oh, can we not do Saturday night? That's the day that my dad died." Now, a good housemate would say, "Of course. My condolences. Let's change the date." But here's the plot twist. Your housemates declared the house unoccupied, moved in without permission, and their dad killed your dad. Now, they can't change what their dad did, but they can show respect and change the date of that party. The 26th of January is celebrated every year as Australia Day. It's supposed to be a day that we can come together, respect our diversity, and celebrate our Aussie identity. But not every Australian is able to do so on the 26th. When I say that the date for Australia Day should be changed, what I'm fighting for is not the denial of history, but rather quite the opposite. In fact, I want history to be acknowledged for what it is. And the fact of the matter is that on the 26th of January, Captain Arthur Phillip landed at Sydney Cove and raised the Union flag wrongfully, taking ownership of a nation that has always belonged to the Indigenous people of this country. What follows is often described as the exploration and colonisation of Australia. But what this day truly marks is the beginning of a genocide. And to deny that is ignorant of the loss of life sustained by the Aboriginal population as a result of British settlement. Research conducted by the University of Newcastle found that more than 10,000 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were killed in over 403 massacres after the 26th of January. That officially classifies as genocidal killings. I'd also like to address that politicians have made many insensitive comments about Australia Day that really highlights their lack of understanding about what colonisation actually was like. For example, a front bench minister, Minister Alex Hawke, has stated that British settlement in Australia, and I quote, may not have gone perfectly well. I thank the minister for this wonderful new insight. I'm inclined to agree that the theft of land from and the massacres of the First Nations people may not have been perfect. In all seriousness, we can all see how this is a gross understatement. Indigenous people have faced the loss of sovereign rights to their land, loss of rights to practice their culture, loss of family, and loss of life. It is absurd for a seemingly progressive nation like Australia to continue to celebrate a day that is a commemoration of deep loss for many. Reflecting on our history should include not just a celebration of how far we've come as a nation, but also acknowledging the suffering that was faced. Non-Indigenous Australians can't change and are not directly responsible for what the early settlers did, but we are responsible for what our future looks like. And that involves respect, an honest reflection of our history, and taking actions to amend mistakes that were made, which cannot happen if we don't acknowledge all aspects of the 26th of January. And that cannot happen if we continue to blindly celebrate it. I do acknowledge that it can seem tokenistic when it comes to changing the date in reconciliation for Indigenous Australians, in that there's no substantial effect in improving the livelihoods of Indigenous Australians. However, consider this. The speech that former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd made, apologising to the First Nations people for the stolen generation, was also something intangible. But this event in our past has proved to us the importance of conceding the wrongs of our past, even if it is just symbolic. And that doesn't discount the fact that we also simultaneously need to be taking action to improve opportunities for and the treatment of Indigenous Australians. Now, a more appropriate day to celebrate the unity of our nation would be the 6th of July, when the Constitution of Australia was officially ratified in the 1900s. This fits our criteria in that it holds political value for us, especially as a country like Australia, in that it was the first step towards us becoming a nation of our own. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. For most Australians, the date doesn't really matter. Australia Day is just a day to get together with your mates, have a barbie, and have a day off work. And we will still be able to do that on a different day. Australians will still be able to watch the Australia Day parade on the 6th of July. The only difference is that all Australians will be able to truly enjoy it. It is important to recognise that all views on this are not homogenous. It's important to recognise that not all Indigenous Australians are in favour of this change. But for those that this change doesn't matter, the change isn't going to be too significant. And for those that it does matter, the change will be a meaningful step towards reconciliation and acknowledging the past wrongs of colonisation. So let's make sure everyone can enjoy that house party. Thank you.
Yeah, 2 in a row. We're on fire. All right. Thanks, Asha. That was great. Our next speaker is 16 years old, loves to sing, write music and stories, and perform. They love to experiment and create, and they're incredibly excited to have the opportunity to perform something at the Teen Gala, and hope many people will one day be able to enjoy their words. Please welcome Sunday Williams-Starkey.
Yay! Okay, this is my short story called Gina, and I would like to give a quick disclaimer. It's a work of pure fiction, and it's up to you whether what happens in the story actually is what happens in the story. Gina Whittaker was not truly unlike any other 17-year-old girl in Melbourne, the way I saw it. In fact, she was quite average in many ways. Box-dyed hair tied up in a claw clip, tracksuits and sneakers, an overwhelming stench of Victoria's Secret perfume. There was absolutely nothing in my mind upon meeting her that could separate her from all the other stupid, shallow, sporty girls at my school. In fact, to some extent, I would describe her as worse, if not only because of her unyielding confidence. It was Christmas time when it happened, in the sense that people had started hanging up decorations, in the sense that it was November 15th.
Bumping into her full force on the way to school gave me all of 12 seconds to make my assumptions, and the primary assumption was that I would never see her again after helping her scoop up her affairs. When she made her decision to speak to me on the train a week later, I had more time to marinate in my prejudice. Over the course of the final weeks of Year 11, I discovered many things about Gina Whittaker that surprised me. She was far too confident and far too charismatic, for example, and coasted along on her humour and appearance alone. Her interests could be described as spooky, and she listened to 90s rock and had a fondness for vintage coming-of-age stories. In the weeks leading up to the summer holidays, she spoke a lot about making our final summer of childhood a movie. She did say "our summer" a lot, which was interesting. Despite only knowing her for a short period of time, Gina Whittaker soon became very determined to meet my school friends. Despite my large posse, there were only 2 people who I think would cry if I died. Maybe. My girlfriend was Florence Davies. She had an ethereal otherworldliness to her that always surprised me, and concerned herself primarily with painting or cycling, all those pointless little joys she wanted to fill her life with. My best friend was Georgie Wu, who was just as judgy as me, although she came across as mysterious, whereas I would probably be more aptly described as bitchy. She spent her days avoiding straight answers and testing the limits of her mind with important things that would make her useful in her adult life. For the sake of making my character clearer, I will tell you I didn't fit into either of those 2 categories. My highest priority was to exist and wait to be unimportant and die one day as a moderately accomplished retail worker or something else that requires as few skills or passions as possible. I never discovered Gina Whittaker's ambitions, but that's of little consequence now. On the final day of school, I found myself seated in a small cafe with Florence Davies, my girlfriend, Georgie Wu, my best friend, and Gina Whittaker, the girl who had somehow wriggled her way into my heart despite my inhibitions. It seems her insistence has won out. Gina twittered away at my friends, firing off anecdotes and laughing uproariously as they sat there, mildly stunned. When I got home, I expected Georgie to text me immediately with a breakdown of her every thought she'd had on Gina, placing her into a series of mathematical categories and judgments. I believe it was our equal tendency towards judging that drew me to her in the first place. To my surprise, however, Gina texted me first. The fateful message read, "Hey, is Georgie single?" This began a very pivotal era of my friendship with Gina Whittaker. Despite my best efforts to convince her that Georgie did not like her, that Georgie did not like anyone, ever, Gina was a pining mess. Well, maybe not my best efforts. The summer holidays finally came around in a blisteringly hot blur, and I found myself in Gina Whittaker's house for the first time. It was as you would expect. At least it was as I expected. The room smelt of incense, and she wasted no time in launching into a plan on how we should kick off the fateful summer holidays. I had no doubt of who we were. She had this tiny little gleam in her eyes as she suggested we perform a séance in the woods. I laughed. Of course, Gina Whittaker's idea of a good time was a séance. I had no reservations. She seemed excited. Her hands were balled up in front of her, and she was leaning forward on her tiptoes. I felt a rush of affection course through me. I feel unpatriotic by calling it woods as opposed to bush, but bush feels like it reduces the density of the place. This was a thickly canopied area in the middle of nowhere, but still within walking distance of Gina's house. How she commuted to school was beyond me. Gina promised us there was a graveyard somewhere nearby that had some confirmed encounters. I didn't take the time to wonder why there was a graveyard in the middle of shrubland or whatever. I wasn't really there for the séance. I should have given Florence my coat. Underneath the trees, none of the summer heat broke through, and she was shivering. She stuck close to me, and Gina rushed off to walk with Georgie, shooting me a look that said, "Stay back." I pretended to believe anything was going to happen. It wasn't. When I angled the torchlight of my phone down, I could almost ignore Georgie and Gina shuffling through the mulch ahead of us. I tried to think about Florence next to me. Beautiful, perfect, beautiful Florence. At some point we stopped and I was looking at her. "Have you written any poetry lately?" "I haven't written any poetry since year 8. Something snapped. I twisted around. It was probably just Gina. Stupid fucking Gina. Stupid fucking Gina who knows me better than my girlfriend. Wait here. I'm gonna check what's going on between them, I said in non-response to her question. Nothing was happening between them. I knew nothing was going to happen. I gave Flo my phone torch. I should have given her my jacket, but I gave her my torch. So it was dark as I walked, but not as cold as it could have been. A low, resonant hum fizzed above my head in the canopy. I wonder if this is the moment I truly cracked it, if in that second I finally lost my mind, and that strange echoing song between the trees, like the breath in between notes of a song, was the tipping point. What I saw in the trees ahead of me was not Gina Whittaker, with ragged eyes and a bulging neck, pinning Georgie by the shoulders and staring at her with the intensity of a bird of prey about to dive. The thing was not Gina, and it was not human, as it breathed raggedly and hungrily, but it wore the face of Gina like some sickening imitation, some filthy parody of a normal girl. The thing that glinted on the leaf-littered ground may have been a knife, or it may have been a hammer. It might have even been a gun. It may have been there because Gina planned to kill Georgie with it, or it may have been in the pocket of the coat I did not give to Florence. The ringing got louder with a malicious pop, and I was moving. I don't know what I did, but I knew Georgie was going to die. I knew the thing that may have always been Gina had the yielding skin that a 17-year-old girl should have, and I know her blood was hot. I do not know if I was thinking sadistic and evil thoughts, or if I was thinking of the future Florence and I could have without Gina. I don't know if I thought of Georgie, who might have been trembling on the ground. I do not know if you believe me when I tell you that despite what you found in the woods, I did not kill Gina Whittaker. Whatever the judge has said, I am innocent. If the thing I killed was Gina Whittaker, then Gina Whittaker was not human. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunday. Oh, it's working again. That's wonderful. Thank you, Sunday. That was brilliant. Our next speaker is a 14-year-old Melbourne student who enjoys reading and learning random information. They are very excited to perform, so please welcome Alice Horacek.
Hello, my name is Alice, and I will be performing a poem about, beauty and the internet and the young people. I'm sure you're very familiar with those things. It is a sweltering hot breakfast on Victorian Jamboree. People are boasting of toast and speaking of skipping it. One person says they were 10 when they realized they were kinda overweight, maybe I should change that. A chorus of, no, you're really pretty, no, everyone's stumbling, trying to fill in the cavity of her insecurities with their validation. She shakes her head, shame, making clear the breaking, gaping gap between what they say, what we say, and believe. Why aren't we allowed to believe it, the most common compliment out there? Have self-confidence, they say. Self-confidence. Get self-confidence, buy self-care, buy skincare. $500 billion industry, baby. Look at all these pictures prettier, better than your life, your mind. You can't buy perfection, but you can find it online. Never mind. Your kind is only a cell which continues to sting. The clock of tick-tock trend cycles, 8-second attention span cycle, cycling through emotions like iPhones, trends of features, bodies, flesh. We all have skin in the game. Consume, consume, consume. Consume information. Consume comedy. Consume content. Consume critique. Consume politics. Consume tragedy. Consume your own insecurity. Consume the consequences of living in a patriarchal society that places too much value on appearances and encourages people to unhealthily change themselves, to hate themselves, to spend more time hating themselves so they can spend more time, more consumption, more engagement, trying to love themselves. Mark Zuckerberg has fucked us all over, god damn it. Yeah, there's consequences for all this. Everyone's so vain these days. Isn't it so vain to like yourself? To look like you like, to look how you look. Isn't it so vain to like your makeup, your jewelry? If we don't make fun of the way women express themselves, how will they know their place? Femininity, more like inferiority. Got 'em. Isn't it so vain to think that you're ugly? It's so common, too common to be worthy of an intervention. It's just all these damn phones making all these kids so damn decaying planet, climate crisis, no end in sight. All these kids so mental illness all over the place. Mental illness they're not really allowed to talk about. It's all mindfulness and meditation. Or it's all suicide jokes with the gang at 1:34 p.m. on a Wednesday. These little ways we express the stress of everyone's mess. Everyone's just trying their best. I think we need the real talk, the real mental health talk, where they actually talk about neurodiversity and mental illnesses. Be explicit. Say it, please. The real social media talk, not just cyber safety, it's your cyber soul, it's your soul, it's real time, it's your real mind, it's really polarizing by design, and it's everything. The real beauty, there is none. It's not out there. I think we need to de-emphasize, empathize, and don't let anyone make you feel ashamed. That's me.
All right. Our next speaker, this is my longest one, so wish me luck. Our next speaker is a Zimbabwean-Australian singer, actor, and writer. Her passion for the creative arts has allowed her to openly express the fusion of cultures she was brought up on in the diaspora, as she strives to be the representation she never saw growing up. Got it. Rufaro is a musical theatre undergraduate at the Victorian College of the Arts, but currently taking a short break to continue finding her voice through a variety of mediums. She engages in online activism and shares her art via TikTok and Instagram pages, both at Rufaro Zimbudzi, and is debuting a new podcast called Death of a Black Girl. Please welcome Rufaro Zimbudzi. Got it.
Black woman in a white suit sitting in the White House in a room with white dudes staring at her white desk looking to her black roots. Everything she does starts another political dispute. Maybe it's because she's a woman, maybe it's because she's black, maybe it's because ever since stepping in the building she has had a target on her back. Bad day. Let me tell you about a bad day. He's a ghost, he's a phantom, he's a specter. But when you close your eyes, it ain't gonna get better. 8 ways the man will make history. Is him being a clown something that no one else can see? In the cold of his shadow, she struggles to find a light. He's the first damn president to be impeached twice. Bad day, a really bad day. His army marches and they don't care what they're taking away. It's not right the way they sit on a high horse, unaware that their actions are propelling his life force. Bad day, a really, really bad day. Our people are dying. You expect me to sit here and pray? God, if you're listening, give her a sign, because it seems like little miss is getting used to crossing the line. Don't forget the promises you made to your people. Black Lives Matter, Vice President. Remember, I'm your equal. Bad day, an exceptionally bad day for Madam Vice President. My name is Ida Bell Wales Barnett, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Mama, the White House, every young journalist's dream, and you're my hope. Your people are waiting. I've been waiting. Bad day? Let me tell you about a bad day. Votes for women! Votes for women! Votes for... Well, Ida dear, we really appreciate you coming down to D.C. and bringing all of your friends. But the girls told me to let you know that they'd really feel more comfortable if you marched in the back with the rest of the colored folk. Shh. What are you doing here? Animals can go at the front, where I can watch you. Don't you give me lip. It ain't right. In the case of the railway versus Idlewells, blah, 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 guilty. Status quo, not guilty. As I said, my fellow Americans, white men lynch the offending Afro-American not because he is a despoiler of virtue. Lynching states, Mississippi, 15, Alabama, 12, Georgia, 19. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Madam Vice President, what we're doing is not a vision of equality for ourselves, but for the future. And with my death in 1931, sure, I didn't live to see the change I dreamed of, but I knew it was coming. A renaissance of education and language. The Harlem poets unite. I have been in Sorrow's kitchen and licked out all of the pots. I have stood on Peaky Mountains, wrapped in rainbows with a harp and a sword in my hands. I was born by the river in a little tent. It's the ballot or the bullet. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are denied not only civil rights, but human rights. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. All power to the people, Black Panther. It's been a long, long, long time coming. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And though I know the change gon' come. Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! My name is Takunda Mujondiwa, and I believe that education, not assimilation, is the gateway to decolonizing the minds of our young people. Repower the disempowered, break free from the shiny silver shackles of slavery, and forge a new, better future for people of color. At the age of 7, my family moves from Zimbabwe to Aotearoa. I pass through customs, but my culture is made to stay behind. In the classroom, I'm afraid that my tongue will beat back to its African rhythm, be concussed, have amnesia, turn all of its memories to dust. Yesterday, I was African. Today, I am lost. Maybe I was blinded by the neon sign of opportunity, but forgot to read the fine print which read, assimilate! Go back to where you came from. To be a child of the diaspora is to battle 2 tongues. Jinoskisa kuwamu asingaziwi nikari yake pakutanga. Nikari yake pakutanga. In a list from A to Z, you can count us. 1, 2, 3, young black girls to your legacy, carving their way into history, carried on the back of slavery as a hope for us, you and me. And now, Miss VP. Madam Vice President, I believe in you because I know the change gon' come.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Our next performer has used art and storytelling as a form of expression of her thoughts and ideas, especially about her identity and the world around her. In 2021, her paintings Acceptance and Belonging were showcased at Top Arts, exploring how one's environment affects their thoughts and perceptions of themselves as a minority in Australia. Please welcome Erin Kim.
Hi, my name's Erin. I created this animation last year in my last year of high school, and I wanted to explore a young person's journey of self-acceptance, and I really wanted to convey this message to a really a broader range of people in a way that doesn't leave anyone out. So I've created a character that hopefully people can project to, relate to in a way. So I hope you enjoy.
Alrighty, that is the end of all of the performances tonight. So thank you all for coming and for showing up to support our speakers. Please consider signing up for the Wheeler Education newsletter for information on those upcoming events and ways to get involved with the program. Details are on the Wheeler Centre website.
We have gone a little bit over time tonight. Yep, that's right. I see you all looking at your watch going, we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. But if we could get all the performers on stage for a photo and a bow just before we all go home, that would be excellent. Thanks. It's too silent. Another round of applause, I'd say.